Hello, welcome to this episode of The Daily. My name is Brendan Malone. Approximately 10 years ago, if you were to ask me what did I think was the most reliable source of print journalism in this country of New Zealand, I would have said to you probably the New Zealand Herald is right up there. If you were to ask me that same question today, I would say to you that I think the New Zealand Herald is not a particularly reliable source. There are some good journalists who are still working there and they produce some quality work, but by far and away, the New Zealand Herald has now been swamped and has been pulled into the ether of tabloid, lowbrow, sort of hook-laden journalism where there's a lot of substances missing, there's no real investigative reporting, and there's just a whole lot of rubbish that is being poured out of the New Zealand Herald to try and drive traffic to their website. Why has this happened? Well, because of the internet. Basically, for some reason, print journalism felt that it had to kowtow to this demand to provide free journalism because of the advent of the internet and people who were getting into, the citizen journalists who are basically reporting on issues and not charging people for it. They felt they had to play that same game. Now, because of for whatever reason, this has happened and we find ourselves in this situation. Now, previously, journalism was behind a paywall, so you had to pay to see the content. You had to buy a newspaper. Well, that paywall has been stripped away. And some newspapers have responded a bit more creatively to that problem than others. The New York Times, for example, I believe they still have the policy where you can view 6 free articles a month, and then after that, you have to pay them. In other words, if you're going to use us as a primary news source each month, you should be paying us because our staff are working their butts off to produce the content that you're reading, which I think is fair enough. The New Zealand Herald doesn't have a subscriber service. Instead, they've gone for this model of trying to produce as much link bait and clickbait as possible. So you go, oh, I've got to read that. I've got to see, oh, that sounds salacious. That sounds gossipy. I better check that out. And that drives more traffic to their website. And with more traffic to their website, they can then be attractive to potential advertisers. They can say, hey, look, we get 10,000 hits a minute or a billion hits a day or whatever it is they get. And so you should advertise with us. You should pay us for the privilege of advertising your product or service because lots of people come and visit our website. And so that's the model that they have gone for. And that's why you are seeing a lot more of this lowbrow, salacious tabloid stuff because it drives hits to the website. People come to see what the latest gossip is and to see what Lord has done and who she's broken up with and what she had for lunch, etc., etc., etc. The problem, of course, is that this starts to undermine authentic and good journalism. And the other thing that happens when you no longer have a paywall around your journalism, and particularly because of the internet and the way the internet works, is people expect instant news on demand. And that kills the whole concept of a deadline. And previously, for a newspaper, they usually worked on a 24-hour deadline. So you had 24 hours to get a story, sometimes longer if it was a bit more investigative, 24 hours to find out about a story, research it, do all the due diligence, interview people, and then put together a well-produced story. Journalists don't have that anymore. So not only is there less money floating around, so there's a lot less journalists in general in newsrooms, those journalists who are left are subject to a lot stricter time demands. Now, they're expected to just produce content almost instantly. Now, that's why you'll often see the situation in newspapers, in the online websites, where a breaking news story hits, they have one sentence which tells you what's happened, and then the rest of the page is filled up with private tweets from citizens who are just saying, oh, I felt an earthquake, it was massive, or I saw Taylor Swift, she was amazing, or I've just been in Wellington and I've seen Bob Smith and he's wearing a green hat. And this is now being used to fill up the column space while they try and find out more details. Now, what this does is has an impact on the quality of journalism because you're rushing. That means that proofreading gets pressured. Not only does proofreading get pressured, but so does, I think, basic balance and journalistic ethics around fact-checking because you're trying to be the first outlet to get the story out in full. And you are under pressure to do that, and you're not going to be as careful about checking your sources and the reliability of the information they are giving you. And that, my friends, in a nutshell, is exactly why we have seen the New Zealand Herald fall in just a very short amount of years from being one of the most reliable news sources in this country to one of the now most dubious and questionable ones in a lot of areas. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily.